Nintendo has announced that the new Smash Bros. Will be the main focus of their E3 presentation this year, and other than that, they will primarily concentrate on games coming out in 2018. We all know by now how large the influential power of Smash Bros. Is on other franchises, and I'm guessing that this Smash game will likely dictate Nintendo's plans for the rest of the fiscal year. In some ways, Nintendo's world revolves around this upcoming Smash. So I wanted to get in some last minute predictions for the new Smash game, and also how it will influence other announcements that I'm hoping will come out at Nintendo's E3. This is what they should do. I believe the overall motif of the next game will be customization and player's choice. What I mean by that is that right off the bat they'll allow players to customize the menu layouts by arranging them in whatever order and style works best. I'm sure that Sakurai has heard the complaints about the awkward menu layouts in Smash 4, and a more robust system will obviously be implemented. But I'm taking it one step further. Some players might prefer the more stylized menus, some might prefer a basic list. I think this menu customization option is a simple feature that would mean a lot to their fanbase. These custom menus also apply to the stage selection screen and even the display and layout of the character selection screen. Speaking of, that screen's gonna need some organizing, because there will undoubtedly be over 70 characters, probably even more. Imagine if you could choose in what order those characters are displayed. You can make all your mains right next to each other, but yeah, I'm still predicting that the game is an extremely enhanced port, more like a sequel like Splatoon 2 situation, and that means no character cuts. Even the clones, they're still there, but hopefully with some moveset revisions. And by the way, the list that I made a year ago about my character predictions, it still holds water. I even made a joke about how Crash and Spyro might make it into the game, but you know, we're living in a reality where that actually could happen. I'm very curious to see how many characters from my list will end up making it into the final game. But let's think about DLC characters. That's right, the game's not even out yet and we're already discussing DLC plans. I'm under the opinion that Smash 5 is going to try to bring back all the legacy characters that have been cut so far. Not including Young Link and Pichu, because they can probably just come as costume alts. But this does include Ivysaur and Squirtle. Now we know that the next Pokemon game is a return to Kanto, as some rumors were suggesting. I think it's a great idea and perfect for marketing that return. It's a return in two ways. But why as DLC? Why not as unlockable characters in the main game? Well, my theory is that Nintendo's gonna plan their release around the same time as the next Pokemon game. I'm predicting that Smash 5 will be released alongside their paid online program in September. So it's not too far off to say that their first round of DLC content would come out 2 months later in November as a promotion for Pokemon. Maybe they can follow a similar formula like they did with Mewtwo in Smash 4. I can hear the promotion now. You can register one of the new Pokemon games to your Nintendo Online account to get either Ivysaur or Squirtle for half price. Additionally, you can register both versions of the new Pokemon game to get both Ivysaur and Squirtle. Absolutely free! Sure, this may be a cheap marketing technique and Nintendo might get some backlash for trying to pull this, but I'm curious how many Smash fans will be more than happy to use this promotion. Oh, I'll just buy and register both versions, then I'll keep one for myself and I'll give the other to my niece. Thank you, Nintendo, for bringing families together. But seriously, I think Nintendo is willing to be a bit riskier with the early DLC characters in order to promote their upcoming games. And I'm sure there's going to be flack about how there are way too many Pokemon as playable characters in Smash 5, especially considering that new Pokemon will likely be implemented as fighters. But you know what? I bet Sakurai is willing to be a bit riskier with his choices. I don't care about your overrepresentation cries, I'm Sakurai, boy! Speaking of overrepresentation, let's talk about Fire Emblem. Now I still think the Braidablick will be a new item in Smash 5. Check my video for more info. And if so, I sure hope it gets shown off during the E3 presentation. This will have plenty of new Fire Emblem characters show their faces in Smash, but no new playable characters for the Fire Emblem universe, at least not at the start. I could be very wrong, but I suspect that the new Fire Emblem game, which we still know nothing about, will have a trailer at E3, but also that it will be pushed off until early 2019. And as a way to promote that game, new characters for DLC and Smash reveal. Just like what they did with Roy back in Melee and Corrin in Smash 4. We've already established that Sakurai doesn't care about your overrepresentation cries, and as long as the new character isn't too similar to the rest of the Fire Emblem crew, I don't think people will care too much. There were some old rumors that the next Fire Emblem game will feature a seemingly darker, gothic horror-like theme. One where your avatar character plays a more villainous anti-hero role. Who knows what the next game will actually look like, but I immediately pictured a Bloodborne-esque figure in my head, and I bet plenty of Smash fans would love to play as that, assuming they have a unique enough weapon and moveset. One last game call to go along with DLC characters. It's a bit long-winded, but stay with me. I'm predicting Midna and Wolf Link will make it into Smash as DLC. Why Midna? She's not relevant anymore whatsoever. Well, I believe Nintendo is going to release a Game of the Year edition for Breath of the Wild. probably by the end of 2018. This means it could come included with all the game's paid DLC and additional features. One of those features is having Wolf Link follow you along by tapping his amiibo. Problem is, nobody has that amiibo these days, and nobody's gonna get Wolf Link to 20 hearts by beating the Cave of Shadows from Twilight Princess HD, because nobody has a Wii U anymore. Do you see where I'm going with this? Twilight Princess HD Switch port. There are still plenty of Wii U games that will probably be ported over to the Switch sooner or later, and the two Zelda remasters are easy pickings. Sure, it might make more sense for Wind Waker HD to go first, but I think Twilight Princess will get rushed for the Breath of the Wild functionality discussed earlier. And Midna will probably be included in Smash 5 DLC to help promote that game. I'm sensing a pattern here. Twilight Princess HD may not be bundled with a whole amiibo figurine. It's more likely that the game will be included with an amiibo card this time around, similar to what they did with some of the Animal Crossing amiibo. Speaking of amiibo cards, I'm predicting that alongside the Game of the Year Breath of the Wild, Nintendo will distribute their Zelda line as easy-to-scan amiibo cards. It's the same thrill of collecting, but on a much cheaper scale. This way, more people can enjoy their benefits found in many games on Switch. Speaking of Game of the Year editions, it's probable that Mario Odyssey will be getting a Game of the Year re-release with all of its added content included. And just a quick idea, wouldn't it be amazing if Nintendo distributed a limited run of both Zelda and Mario Game of the Year editions on a single physical cartridge? It's the two best games of 2017 on one tiny chip. New Switch adopters will eat this up, not to mention all the collectors. And this all comes back to Smash Bros. Think about it. Come September time, there will be thousands of new Switch adopters because of Smash. And then even more because of Pokemon. And then, for all of these new Switch newbies, they'll be given the opportunity to buy two of the greatest games ever made together in one cartridge. It all revolves around Smash. Not only games, but also accessories. And when you think of Smash-related accessories, I'm sure the first one you think of is the GameCube controller. Now, hopefully Nintendo won't try anything funny, and we'll still be able to plug in our GameCube controllers using the same adapter we've been using since Smash for Wii U. But, in addition to that, introducing a new design of the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, modeled after the GameCube for that super comfortable grip, insane rumble features, and even analog triggers on the shoulders. And it's wireless play with zero lag. Maybe the middle of the face could have that cool looking see-through design to match the current Switch Pro controller. It's everything a Smash fan could ever ask for, which is why it will probably be sold at a huge premium. The controller prices will go down one day, but I don't think quite yet, unfortunately. But even more colors and styles could be available for purchase online as pre-orders. Maybe not as expansive as what Microsoft is doing with their controllers, but still, more color varieties are always a benefit. And it goes back to that central theme of customization for Smash 5. Speaking of more color varieties and that central theme of customization for Smash 5, that's right, costume varieties. Everybody wants this. The whole Smash 4 modding community originated because they wanted more costume varieties. I'm predicting that each character will have 12 palette choices this time around. Some will be available from the start, some might have to be unlocked, but still. And then on top of that, even more costume choices could be released in a bundle as DLC. And I think it's important that every character gets bundled together for these new costumes. We don't want any loot crate shenanigans going on for Smash DLC. But even still, let's say it is a loot crate system. These will all be aesthetic additions, similar to the Mii costumes, so no harm is really done. And speaking of the Miis, obviously tons of new costumes, but more importantly, an entirely new class for the Mii fighters. I'm guessing a roguelike, maybe a magic user will be revealed, but who knows if that will really be necessary, because I'm sure that there will be plenty of new special moves customizable for your Mii fighters. Still, a new class or two would be awesome. Speaking of customizable special moves, I'm sure that they are returning to Smash 5. Maybe they'll be reworked in a way to make them more tournament friendly, and hopefully even more choices will be added for the custom selection, and for every character this time of course. And I really hope that all the custom moves will be available from the start, but the equipment could still be unlocked. While we're talking about total character customization, I want to talk about this idea I've heard floating around where you can save specific character costumes and looks that you've created from another game and then send that data over to Smash Bros. For a unique looking character to fight with. I first heard this idea from P. Jiggles, but I want to expand on it a bit more. This feature would only be available for certain characters: Mario, Link, Inklings, Villager, Yoshi, and possibly some Pokemon. Also, this idea might be able to work for the Fire Emblem avatars. Aside for changing their hairstyle and facial features, maybe this mode can be used to change the character's voice. Which leads me to my next prediction. I think optional voice changes would be a neat DLC features. Don't like the way your character sounds in battle? Well, for a small fee, you can change that. Looking at you, Fox.
Lion Master!
Possibly you can even change their voice lines to those from a previous Smash game. Now, this idea obviously has limitations, and maybe it will only begin development if there's truly a desire for some sort of implementation such as this. Once again, this is just an aesthetic change, so I don't think it will be a problem to charge for something like this, especially if it's for a brand new recording. Those voice actors gotta eat too. And you know what? With this feature, we might finally be able to get Danny DeVito voicing Pikachu. Tell me you wouldn't pay for that. Tell me.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring. And then I start eating garbage. And then I pick up the trash can and I smash the guy on the head.
Oh, that's gonna be a disaster.
No, nobody's gonna get hurt.
Speaking of extended voice acting, hopefully Adventure Mode will be returning in some way. The Duke of Dorks has a great video about implementing it like a choose-your-own-adventure map. I only bring this up because he's created some great opening narrative scenes to showcase how the characters would act when interacting and meeting each other. And maybe voice acting for the characters' dialogue would be just that added spice to make the Adventure Mode truly remarkable. Speaking of extra spice to make Smash 5 truly remarkable, switch Smash Mode. Or an All-Star Versus mode. Or character rotation mode, or whatever you want to call it, it's gonna happen. And I made a whole video about it and how one small application, which is still following that customization motif, in that mode could lead to a huge amount of unique strategies and truly shake up the metagame. Please check that video out. But first, let's talk about stages, and the customization behind them. We all want a way to play certain stages without the hazards. Everyone's been talking about this idea forever. All I want to add to it is that I would call it alpha stages. Get it? Same naming convention as the omega stages, but also it can be interpreted as the ideal way to play on certain stages. Some people might want to play with a few hazards still included. Some people might want certain platforms removed. The list goes on and on. I say, let the people have what they want. On the stage select screen, just press Y to select alpha stages, and they will all come as a default fixed stage. I'm sure Sakurai and his team have a pretty good consensus of what the more serious Smash Bros. Fans want in their stages. And for many players, the default alpha versions may be good enough. However, sticking with the theme of total customization, there can be a menu in the settings where you can choose exactly what elements of the stage you want removed or changed. And then those preferences will be saved as your default for when you choose alpha stages. And of course, this customization motif would be implemented in the stage builder. Yes, despite there being no gamepad, I do believe that the stage builder will be returning, hopefully tweaked with some added features. It could work like a mix of Brawls and Smash Wii U's, mostly designed from just the standard controller inputs, but for more unique slopes and walls, you could undock the Switch and have added on the touchscreen. Plus, I'm sure that there will be plenty of different stage elements and backgrounds to choose from in order to make that stage truly yours, with even more coming later as DLC. Speaking of more features as DLC, Relaxalax posted a video not too long ago where he spoke about this idea of letting players control the boss characters, like Ridley, Master Hand, Rayquaza, so on and so on. Not to play them as legitimate characters, rather just something that would be fun to mess around with. And it's that line exactly why I don't think this mode will be coming at launch. Don't get me wrong, I love this idea. It would be loads of fun, but also probably very difficult to program. Also, it is just a novelty mode. Most people won't be dedicating hours and hours into it. So, from the developer's perspective, it's a lot of work for very little payout. See, Smash 5 doesn't need this mode. It's gonna sell just fine as it is. However, let's say a year or two down the line, once the DLC characters are done and the hype for Smash is beginning to dwindle, bam! That's when they should release this boss play mode. It's new and crazy enough that I believe it would spark interest amongst both the casual Smash crowd and even from the competitive Smashers. That's right, I believe this idea is unique enough to re-spark interest in the entire Smash community. It's at this point, a few years down the line, when Nintendo can re-release the game as a definitive edition, with all the DLC and bonus features included. And this whole boss play mode would be such a unique feature to include in that definitive edition. Speaking of things happening farther along in the future, of course the Smash Ballot will return. Not immediately, mind you, but let's say about half a year in, like they did with Smash 4. However, this time it's going to be structured differently so that only viable characters can be voted for. I have this vision of how Nintendo could try to pull this off, but I'm going to save that for a future video. So yeah, that is what they should do. This is more or less how I envision / hope Nintendo's E3 plays out. Even if I'm dead wrong, I still think these ideas are really good. And let's talk about them down in the comments. Maybe they can be implemented later on. I'm curious what you guys think about all this. What would you want implemented in the next Smash game? And hey, if you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe and share it along with your friends. And real quick, I didn't want to dwell on characters that aren't too likely, but I think it's possible for Zetterburn or some other characters from Rival of Aether to make it in. At least as an assist trophy. I know that this is the longest of long shots, but it would be full circle for the Smash Bros fanbase. And I think that concept is just awesome to think about. Also Waluigi, he's coming in. They'll probably announce him just after the trailer for Mario Tennis Aces. Okay, that's it. Thank you all for watching. Let's continue this conversation in the comments, and let's get pumped for E3. Until next time.